Karen.
Yes.
We've covered the topic of angels a couple times before.
We have.
Right? But what if I told you that you have ancient angelic roots that you've never, ever even tapped into?
I like how that sounds.
Or that even unlocking them could bring you closer to true happiness, freedom, and even, dare I say, healing powers?
Ooh, I like that even better.
Yeah, but here's one thing.
Oh, there's always a rub.
Well, I know, but it's a good rub because we all already know.
Like a back rub.
Kind of, except not.
Oh.
Okay. We all already know that you are literally an angel walking on this planet, right? But when it comes to these particular roots, it's actually not just you, Karen. It's everyone. See, our guest today is about to blow all of our minds, diving into a realm of angels and science and energy mastery.
Ooh.
Imagine a Harvard-level education in self-transformation, but with the sparkle of angel wings.
Sounds beautiful.
Plus, she's dropping knowledge that's not just out of this world. It might just be part of our very origins. Who knows? By the end of this episode, we might even feel a little bit energetic or angelic ourselves.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you're ready to go way beyond the ordinary and find out what it really means to tap into your archangelic ancestry, stick around. This is one episode you're going to want to watch. Every single second of the Skeptic Metaphysicians starts now.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And today we are thrilled to welcome Dr. Alisha Doss to the show. See, Dr. Doss is an esteemed author, a spiritual intuitive, and a highly skilled counselor with over 20 years of experience in transformative works. Now, with a doctorate in spiritual science, dual master's degrees in psychology, and a master's in ministerial counseling, Dr. Doss has facilitated more than 300 personal growth seminars, guiding countless individuals towards inner and outer transformation. She's published widely, with her article on Byron Katie reaching over 5 million readers on Huffington Post. And currently, Dr. Doss is working on her highly anticipated book, Your Archangelic Ancestry, set for release with Hay House in spring of 2025. Join us as we dive deep into her unique insights on personal growth and spiritual awakening. Dr. Doss, thank you so much for being on the show today.
It is completely my pleasure. I already feel like I have 2 siblings.
Yay!
I do have a little relationship tip for you, though.
Oh.
You can't say Karen's like everybody else or everybody else is like Karen.
Yeah.
She's a special angel walking on her.
Well, no, she is. And she knows that. The problem is, however, that in this case, you're talking about all of us having archangelic ancestry, which is super exciting. She is an angel. We have angelic roots. That's the difference there.
It's a good clarification.
Thank you.
You're like, shoot.
All right. Well, let's get right into it, Doc. How is it possible that we could all have archangelic ancestry? And by the way, that's a really difficult word to say.
And I'm so glad you said that. And please, Alisha, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, literally, I just found out today that the title was Your Archangelic Ancestry. And then I actually did a big poll of my lists and everything. And Penguin Random House, which bought Hay House, did a big poll. We're changing it to Your Angelic Ancestry. They just approved it today. You are finding this out along with me. Because nobody can say your archangelic ancestry except me, because I've been saying it for decades. But everybody, even the CEO of Hay House, was like, your archangelic.
I can't tell you how many times I practiced it. Because no one wants to sound like a blabbering idiot when you're talking to an esteemed author like you, especially when it comes to the title of your book.
Well,
Exactly.
I think with everything she's accomplished, doesn't matter who you are, you're going to sound like a blabbering
Well, that's a
idiot.
damn good point. But
You guys are very cute. I wouldn't adopt you.
oh well, we have no, I was gonna say we have a price, but that sounds weird. So never
That
mind.
does
Let's
sound
just move on forward.
He has a price.
There's a lot of things that I could say to that, but I choose not to love the shock where we're going.
We appreciate that very much. Yeah. Okay, so how is it possible? I mean, we're just human beings walking around, except for Karen, who's actually an angel walking here. But me, like walking around without, how is it possible that I could have angelic roots? How does that work?
Well, and the book, it takes several chapters to really put roots under those wings. As I mentioned to you, I come from a family of scientists. As mentioned, we have a disease in our family. Everybody's a physician. It's great. Everybody. Generations back, and I was pre-med, and then I went, oh, that's a reflex.
My sympathies.
So, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, we love our doctors.
Not
There's lots of physicians in our audience, so we absolutely love them.
I love physicians. So the point being that I am a scientist at heart, right? And so this is based on decades of experimentation. That did not sound right, but of really going and embedding my techniques first, of course, with myself since I was 4 years old, and then with others over and over and over again to see, does this play out? And I had the privilege of working with a very spiritually advanced audience. And because I was involved in a large community, people who'd been for decades on a spiritual path, so that this could pass muster with them, said something. And so it's kind of like, and here's apologies to the infinite intricacy of the universe, but I'm going to grossly oversimplify the creation story to explain.
Thank you, because that's the only way I'm going to understand it. So I appreciate that very much.
I think you are being way too humble, but so as you know, you've heard so many times, this human place. See, now I can't talk. You have me.
I'll have that effect on people, but usually because, oh my God, what am I doing on this show, for God's sakes?
I couldn't what with realm, world, any of that place. This human place is called a latter-day experiment. We are newbies, right? So the angelic predated this human creation by eons, right? It's a much older creation. So angels are born in absolute oneness with God. They never forget they're one with God, spirit, the universe, by whatever name you call it. It's all the same. It's love, right? They never forget. But they have to evolve to individuation when they're an archangel. Angels evolve to archangels could be millions of years. But because the creation is so ancient, there's a lot of archangels. And then there's a very, very highest tier called great archangels, which we may discuss. So humans are born in individuation, right? Free will, right? If I want to lop my baby sister on the head, I can.
Well, which I do often. But.
Right, exactly. And I can only say that because I am the baby sister. So I'm not a baby sister. So, and then humans, we're born in free will. We evolve to the God consciousness that angels are born in. So we evolve oppositely. And that's just one of all the many ways that angels and humans evolve oppositely. So many different ways. Angels are in a collective. We evolve to being aware that we're all one with God, right? We're all one. We evolve to that. So we have our roots as angels because that was that predated the human realm. Now, when the human creation was incepted, it was to speed up evolution, right? So it's to speed up evolution because for an angel to evolve to an archangel and free choice and autonomy to be as God, freely choosing back into God, was taking a long time. And so this crazy idea of humans was incepted into the physical level. Angels don't have physical bodies, right? Our memory, though, of the angelic was completely obfuscated or obscured so that we didn't come into this physical level with time and space, of which angels don't have, right? We didn't come here and go, man, this place sucks. It's so hard. Bodies age and have to lug this thing around and they get sick and we have to pay for everything with money, which we have to make. It's right. So we didn't remember that realm.
In all fairness, I still say that.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Even though I don't remember, I still say that.
No, exactly. No, it's tough here, and it's said, a lot of spiritual masters say that souls line up to get on this planet. We're like, wait, is that just like bad taste? No, it's because we evolve so much faster here because it's so difficult. But now we're in this wondrous time, and I do put roots under it, explaining it astrologically, metaphysically, having to do with moving into the Aquarian age, the ending of the Mayan calendar, even the changing of the yugas, which is a even longer period of time. So in many different philosophies, and I myself am half English and a half Indian, so I love to embrace many different paths because I have many different paths. So we're in this wondrous time where now we're subconsciously and then consciously remembering our angelic roots. It's where we go, I know I'm more than this. Shouldn't I be able to fly? We're all one. Shouldn't we be able to communicate telepathically? We're starting to open to our angelic roots, to our angelic heritage. And the value of bringing all that present is not to go back in time, but to go beyond time and to go beyond space.
So if everybody has these incredible angelic roots, there's a lot of chaos going on today. So how would you explain it to people, to someone who's like, I work hard, I take care of my family, I volunteer, I do all this charitable stuff. You cannot say that I am equal to that guy over there who's, bullying the kids and doing whatever. What would you say to them?
I'm angelic, you're not. Basically.
No, everybody has the roots.
I mean, it really does. Everybody.
Is there a root rot? Does that exist?
Yes and yes. Well, yes and not necessarily. So everybody. No, most of us. Some people are humans who started out as humans and they're still humans and they're probably younger souls, right? So those are the people who are going around and pillaging and raping and not worrying about anybody else, et cetera. That's a young soul. You can kind of recognize that. There are people who've had their roots in, the nature kingdom. That's actually related to the angelic. So they'd be in the same category as angels. Mm-hmm. But there are people, but most people, don't hold me to this percentage, but I would say somewhere between 85 and 90%, 95% have at least had a field trip in the angelic. Right? If not most of their lifetimes in the angelic. And you can kind of tell an old soul who hasn't been on earth that long. They're probably not going to be real grounded. Mm-hmm. They may just kind of feel like they don't get this place. They may feel like a stranger in a strange land. They may have a hard time really being madly in love with the whole human experience. Right? So
You just described my entire childhood.
Well, I was just going to say, so all the Gen Xers when they were teens.
I'm going backwards.
And now we get to the 85 to 95%, right?
Yeah.
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 Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people have come very recently from the angelic or the Davic. Some people, and we're also could put extraterrestrials in there, but that's another book. And some people are just like, nope, I'm died in the will human. I love human, I love Earth, and this is kind of all there is. And those people probably have, some angelic roots, but not a lot. But this is not pejorative. This is not a higher and lower, a hierarchy. This is just called, let's all awaken together. Mm-hmm. But does it describe everybody? Probably not everybody, but almost.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Me too. So now let's take it back just a step or two. Is there a way that someone that is pragmatic, right? When we're talking about angels and archangels and grand angels and cherubs and animals, someone who's pragmatic, who's very much in the scientific world, angels, it's hard to, all you think of is these wings and
See, no, that's an excuse. I mean, you forget, I was going to be an engineer. I was very pragmatic, all of that. But it's not.
So people who find it hard to accept the concept of angelic beings, how can you reassure someone like that person who may or
you're asking for a friend,
for friend,
right?
Yes, for a friend. How can you assure my friend that there is some way of understanding and believing that these beings actually exist.
Yeah, no, I love that question. And as mentioned, I'm a scientist at heart. You know, I want empirical evidence that this work is working and changing people's lives.
Which is why I'm asking the question, because I know that you can answer it.
Yeah, well, so, but I want to make sure I'm answering the question you're asking. You're asking, what do you say to somebody who's like, how could I have been an angel? Or are you asking, what is an angel and how do I connect?
A little bit of both, but first and foremost, the latter, the angel, like the people like my friend have a hard time believing that angels can possibly exist.
Absolutely. Well, here's a fascinating statistic. I'm going to nerd out on you for a moment.
Perfect. You'll fit right in.
So I love it. The Associated Press, very, rather secular organization, very objective. And the NORC, University of Chicago, possibly even more scholarly and more objective, did a big poll in the US to see how many people believe in angels and or have had an angelic encounter experience. 69%. 69%. That is more people than believe in God, right?
Wow.
Seriously. Wow.
9%. And that transcends culture, socioeconomic status, gender, no gender, religion, no religion, spiritual path, no spiritual path. Angels unite us rather than dividing us. So we go, well, how can that be? How can an atheist believe in angels? Because everybody, when you get into that quiet space, which we all get into, no matter who we are, right? Sometimes we cultivate it. Most of us who are on the spiritual path do. Sometimes it's just comes upon us, often in nature. There's something more than this. And sometimes for people, God or the numinous, or they have difficult associations with the word God or spirit, etc. Right? But that bit of magic, a lot of people not only relate to that as an angel, but that is actually an angel visiting them in a way that tangibilizes spirit, that bridges the physical with the numinous, right? Because it's just that little bit of magic. And there is personage, there is sentience, there is consciousness with that bit of magic, right? So how do we know angels exist? Prove it to me. Well, I would say, you want to play for just a minute?
Always.
All right, let's play for just a minute. So unless you're driving, please don't if you're driving, but if you are driving, you just open your heart. But if you're not driving, if you just close your eyes for this will be less than a minute. Just close your eyes for a minute and just be aware that you have always had a guardian angel with you, somebody that protects you from those near misses. Somebody in that night when you wake up with all this anxiety about the state of your world or the state of the world, where something breaks through and says, it's okay. It's okay, love. It's okay. You're not alone. So I want you now to be aware, and often they're on your right side. Just be aware of what you sense on your right side, because when we call upon them, they come even closer. So calling forward our guardian angel, be aware of just a wisp of love, a sense of this one knows me better than I know myself. And even though I can't see them like I see something physical, they're there. And so just ask them, just give me a sense of you that I can feel, that I can know. And they might show you an image. And ask them for one word of a quality that they'll impart to you this moment. One quality. And just lastly, I have a very short message for you. Could be, I'm here, or all is well. What is that very short message they have for you? And take a deep breath in and Breathe in their love and all the love of the universe. And as you exhale, that love just amplifies, connecting each of us, present each to listen to this heart to heart. All the seen and unseen, humans and angels, all one. And so be it.
I don't like that.
What's that?
I don't like that.
What don't you
It
like?
makes me cry.
Oh,
So it's I'm not a crier, right? I'm not a crier, but every time I really was asking for a friend. I know my angels, my guardian spirits are around me often, and I've connected with them often. And the minute we started, I mean, I felt them right away. And of course, I'm like, I can't. I had to pull myself out of it a couple of times because I don't want to be a blubbering idiot, all the more than I already am. But I think Karen has connected. So no, it is wonderful.
And you give us permission to be blubbering idiots. The more you're a blubbering idiot, you give us all permission because that's who we are. That's your gorgeous heart.
Well, you know, I've got an image to protect.
I understand. Your coolness is safe with us.
Thank you. No, the word was courage, and what he said to me for sure is you're protected. So, but I've known that. Yeah. So then you're saying that the way that we, my friend, can know the angels are real is just by the feel, by the knowingness of that they're there.
The sense that they're there. And just the more that we take, I call it a divine pause, right? Just to pause, like it might be, I know for me, again, I'm type AAA family, like I'll just be going. But I had to train myself to pause several times. This is early on in my spiritual path, to pause several times a day and just connect to spirit, connect to angels. I actually did it very specifically with angels. And it seconds a day. But if you do that 2 to 5, 10 times a day for 32 days, your life will be completely transformed. And you will have no doubt, you will be sitting here like me and having people connect with their angels.
Okay. I believe it. I do.
I do too.
How did you feel?
I felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my word was love.
Of course it was. Yes.
You want to know my message, don't you? It was like an interesting series of statements. It was, I see you, I am you, I exemplify you, and I pronounce you.
Pronounce.
Yeah, that one was new. I pronounce you.
Did he go Karen?
No.
Wow, that's it. That was impactful.
Yeah.
That's quite a message.
I love that. That's beautiful. You know, my spiritual teacher used to say, if you're not getting it, it's because you're not claiming it. So you claim God consciousness. You claim intuition. So I pronounce you. Perhaps that's you claiming your, and by the way, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Karen, but it's like I'm just sitting here going, you're not even hiding your angelicness. You're an archangel. You're not just an angel. You really are. You have this magnificent archangelic presence.
Oh, I have seen her wings. I know for a fact. This is, and you're not the only person that said that. Repeated guests have actually not just pronounced it, but they have confirmed it several times. So eventually she'll come around. But all right. So let's set, because there's a hierarchy of angels, right? You mentioned the angels, then archangels, and then grand angels. And I'm really curious. I never heard of grand angels. So
I just got goosebumps.
So what makes an angel become an archangel? And then is there a way for them to become grand angels, or they just are?
I love that question. So it's angels, guardian angels, archangels, great archangels. I love grand angels, but it's great archangels. It's what I call them. Same thing as grand angels.
Oh, okay. So, but you mentioned someone also the guardian angel. So that's another version of angels.
Well, guardian angel is an angel, right? So angels are well, it's a whole long discussion. It's in my book, but angels are non-physical beings in a parallel realm to us. They're not higher or lower. They're just a different creation, but our creations are blending. And I think guardian angels were the first angels that God sent in to really blend with humans, to work with us very one-on-one. And they protect us and they remind us of spirit, but they also learn from us. It's a very beautiful, mutually beneficial relationship. And then archangels, the main difference. So by the way, I believe we all had to have evolved to an archangel to come into physicality, to come into the human level. So yes, in a sense, we're all archangels to have come into the physical level, but then some have been much higher archangels, which is more what I'm referring to with Karen. And that doesn't mean she's necessarily higher or lower than anyone else. It just means that's where she's spent a lot of her incarnations and evolved to a very high state in the angelic. That's why she has the milieu, if you will, about her.
I believe it.
And then great archangels are very rarefied. So there's septillions of angels, but the big, Googleplex is actually a number of angels. There's many archangels, but perhaps, a few 100,000, if not more, perhaps 1 million. There's, of the great archangels, only about 150. So very high beings. I actually suggest that you don't work with angels, you work with great archangels, because angels don't have free will. Archangels do, and great archangels are pretty much one with the will of God. So work with archangels and work with great archangels, the exception being your guardian angel, and the exception being there are angelic groups or guardian angel groups.
So when you say angels don't have free will, do they come here with a specific purpose that they have to accomplish?
Yes. Well, guardian angels have they have the purpose of serving us as we serve them, and their purpose is always to serve God, right? But archangels have free will, and great archangels have free will. So they have free will like humans do. Angels don't have free will. They are one with the will of God, and the will of God is disseminated to them by that convenient archangel above them saying, go thou this way. We all wish we had that archangel above us saying, go thou this way, right? This is God's will. Wouldn't that be convenient?
Yes, please.
Where do I get one of those? So that's another reason it's so hard here compared to from whence we came, because we've got to now get through all the distractions and the mind and the conditioning and the static of this level to get to that still small voice, to that highest voice within us. And it's not always so easy, but that's how we grow. And we become as one with God as opposed to just following God.
Whew, wow, there's a lot to that there. So then the question jumps to mind immediately. We talk a lot about Archangel Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Metatron and all those. Are those great archangels? Or who are we dealing with here?
And Metatron sounds like a robot angel.
Yeah, he does have an unusual name, doesn't he? Most angel names end with L. So Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Metatron. Metatron's kind of in a different category, but Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, etc. Those are great archangels. But here's the thing, is they're much higher than we've been aware of, in my experience, until now. A veil is opening, right? Where the two worlds are merging. And we're able to see that these great archangels are much higher. So yes, some are known. Ariel, we've probably heard of Ariel, etc. But there are many that are have been serving us in relative anonymity until now. So those aren't like Miriel. And there's other angels. There's other angels that have not been named, but they've still been serving us. They've just been serving us silently. And they're so high, they're almost not individuated. Right? I from about age 24, 25 on, I started hearing the language of the angels, the angelic language.
Oh, wow. Did you recognize it as such?
I knew it had something to do with angels. I had this whole, and I had been working with angels since I was a child, but I had this big angelic awakening at 24. And so I was already living in an ashram, deep in a spiritual path, etc. I had this big angelic awakening where I realized I was an angel. I was an archangel. And then I heard my angelic name, and that opened me up to hearing. First, I was just hearing these gorgeous sounds, and I thought it was gibberish. And I didn't know if I was going crazy. I mean, we still can't entirely rule that out. But it took me into bliss. It took me into ecstasy. And so at first I just heard it. Then I started to try to say it with my human tongue. And I could to some extent. You can hear a beautiful sound inside. It doesn't mean you can replicate it on a violin or piano unless you're, Mozart or et cetera. But, and then I kept hearing it, and what it would do would just transport me into this gorgeous heavenly state. And I knew it was angelic. At first, I didn't know it was a language. I thought it was just a sound or mantras or whatever. And then I realized eventually it was a language, and then I confirmed it with my spiritual teacher. And then I just kept opening to it, allowing the awakening, courting it, checking it out with my scientific mind, and it just evolved to where I could speak it. And what it did, rather than directly translating, I translate a few of the words, but what it does is it connects me to the great archangels, who then bring forward information. They brought forward this whole book. They bring forward information. They would, before I could read the Akashic records myself, they would go read the Akashic records. And then at some point they're like, dude, you can do that. You do it yourself. Don't bug it. Right. And
go read the book.
Like that. We have more important things. Yeah. They'll still read the higher records. They're called the Nakal records or the Book of Love. They'll still read those for me because I can't always get directly to that. So it's more to bring me into a state to be able to serve.
Wow.
So when you finally realized that it was actually a language that you were hearing, and you were, I guess, hearing it for a while, able to understand it, is it words? Is it feelings? Like what were the messages that you were able to understand?
Yes, it was both. It was words, not human words, not English words, although it would come out in a very beautiful tongue. And what it did is I would start speaking the language, and then in whatever way, either it was information or was healing was needed, then that would come through the language. And I would speak to the person or people or classes in front of me, usually in English. Mm-hmm. But I would be speaking the language in my head, and that would be a bridge into very much into the angelic healing and energy, and then it's really from spirit to us. So occasionally I would speak the language out loud, but somewhat rarely, and not to big groups, and not publicly, because first of all, if someone's driving, they might drive. It completely takes you into another realm, A lot of times people suddenly get sleepy. They'll get very ungrounded in a beautiful way. People are like, they get kind of really transported and love it and mesmerized by it. But if somebody were driving or flying a plane or something and listening to this, that will not be
right.
They'll be communicating with the angels sooner than they expected.
Right. On a personal level, one-on-one.
Personal, yes.
Well, in piggybacking off of that, if someone did, because you mentioned in a lot of the research that I've done on you, you talk about how people can work with their angels. Now, you recommend we don't work with angels, that we will actually work with archangels. How can someone connect with the archangels to work with them, like not the level that you do, but maybe someday aspire to where you are?
Well, I think that people already are working with them. I mean, I have a few tips if that's what you're.
Would love to hear some tips. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I would say, first of all, to give yourself the benefit of a doubt. Like I just kind of threw you guys in the deep end, and I'm like, you're already communicating with angels. Hang out with your angel, right? Before we even established what an angel was. So first of all, I would say definitely give yourself the benefit of a doubt, right? Angels are formless, but they are knowable. So if you're not seeing, robes and hot men and dresses, that doesn't mean you're not seeing angels, right? in my experience, they don't really have a lot of
Wait,
form.
did they have to be hot men?
Yes.
Yes. Or hot.
There we go. I was going to say, you can throw me a bone here, Doc. Come on.
It's so funny. It's a running joke with actually the person who connected me to you, Sadi. That was I start one of my classes with the myths of connecting to angels. And that is one of them that, they don't have to be hot men in dresses. And then we have this whole slew of you wouldn't believe how many sexy hot men in dresses there are on the internet that are angels. I'm like, dude, first of all, they're not all white. Second of all, they're not all men. Third of all, they don't even have form.
Right.
So, and I think though the reason they're depicted as that is because they're beautiful.
Mm.
They're beautiful, right? So they're often depicted as beautiful. But in my experience, they're a great bridge to God, to spirit, to the universe, which doesn't have form. I mean, we have the created universe, but that which is our higher power, whatever we want to call it, doesn't have physical form, right? So realize that you're already connecting to them. Call them in and say, hey, come in a way I can receive you, right? You might be more visual, kinesthetic. You might feel goosebumps. You might hear a sound. You might get a message. So say, come in the way I can receive you. And then I would say, connect me to spirit so that I discern that you are bringing only the highest good to me, so that we feel safe to connect to this non-physical being. And we call in the protection of the light for the highest good.
That's a really important point, because you hear a lot of people talking about, how do you know it's an angel? How do you know it's not a demon in disguise trying to make you feel like you're an angel, right? So any tips on discernment? Because that's super important.
Yeah.
It's so important. And people are like, oh, I don't want to talk about dark angels. My dears, my darlings, you got to. Right? But here's the good news. I'm going to start with the good news. Angels know their own. So who better to call out a dark angel or a fallen angel than an angel of light? So if you sense a demon present, and I'm sorry, there are fallen angels, there are demons, there are humans in the flesh who are fallen angels. Gosh darn it. When I get across from God, I'm going to say, dude, seriously, why do you have to make fallen angels so darn magnetic?
Yeah.
Right.
Charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Right? You feel me on that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you sense that's going on, call upon the angels of light. They are your guardians and your protectors and your discerners. Because yes, fallen angels can come in. The higher we go, the more subtle the tests. And the fallen angels are so darn tricky. And us angel folk are even more susceptible to them. Sorry. But how do for those who are just listening, very cute sideways glance happening there to Karen.
Right. I may or may not have looked at Karen like, oops, I've been found out.
But you may have.
Right.
So it's really challenge them. I am all on board with saying, if you're not sure, challenge them. Say, if it depends on your path, but like, who do you say is the living Son of God? Or who do you say is, who dictated the Quran to Muhammad? It depends on your religion, right? Or your path, or who built the mountains, right? Or what is love? Something that you know the right answer to, and you'll often catch them, right? Because they'll try to be sneaky. Also, you got to go within and just trust your instincts and your intuition. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. But if it's someone inside and non-physical being saying, beloved, you know the way, what's the highest choice here. Let me help you make that highest choice and amplify the spirit for you. Right? This is a being that is trying to encourage you to be holy, to be godly, to be spiritual. If it's like, yeah, put it all on red, or if it's like, go, be a star so people follow you. Not saying that's bad, because maybe that's your path. But do you see what I'm saying? If it's personal gain, probably not the highest.
Right. And I've heard that the messages that are rooted in love are from angelic beings or from the light, but those that are rooted in fear or anger or jealousy or greed, envy, those are the ones that you need to be careful of. So if you look at the question, you whatever answer you get, if you can tell it's rooted in the right place, then that's how you could know, right?
And I think,
Exactly.
Will, for your pragmaticness, that whole, go with your gut. I think that is the layman's term for listen to the angels, because our body responds so much to all of that. So when you get a bad vibe and you can overlook it. It's not really a red flag. It's a little pink. No, but we don't pay attention to that, and we try to explain it out. Just like we talk about coincidences, and is it a coincidence or is it a miracle? It's all semantics,
right? And for the record, the pragmatist was my friend.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
For your friend.
Exactly. The one who's off screen that we
Exactly. All right. So what about angelic numbers, angel numbers, right? 1111, 444, 111s. Is that really truly them trying to communicate with us, or is that just coincidence?
Well, I'm going to have to go with Karen on, probably more synchronicity than coincidence. And again, that's just two sides of the coin. Right. I'm not, again, I have this, this cursed blessing of a family of all scientists, all of them. Right. All of them. Did I mention all of them? Right. So
I don't think she might have.
So there was that one uncle.
yeah. And so I think it's both and. I think sometimes, now here's the thing. I love muscle testing and pendulums and, cards and all that as much as the next guy, but I can manipulate them. Right. So I think we have to be, all of us can, right? So I think we have to be very discerning and go, is this my desire speaking and wanting to find a sign? Do I need a signier sign? Right. Or
they always answer. The answer is always yes, by the way. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's both and. I think certainly, absolutely, they can communicate through numbers. Numbers are very sacred. Pythagoras was actually a spiritual teacher, the Pythagorean theorem. Numerology, numbers can be extremely sacred. So absolutely, they can be angels communicating to us, because we need miracles. This place is tough, as we talked about. We need some miracles. So I think it is certainly angels communicating to us. And sometimes it may not be. But it also, if it's not, but it's us wanting to see it that way, it gives us a clue into what we are wanting and desiring. And sometimes we don't know.
Oh, gosh, I could talk to you forever. But I definitely want to touch on your book, because I found it fascinating. It's called, well, now we know it's Your Angelic Ancestry.
Oh, said it so well.
Thank you. But then it goes on to say, discover your angelic name, heritage, and higher purpose. What? It really, all we can do, a book will help us discover that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. It took me freaking 30 years to put that in one book. I almost killed myself. I wrote it on that balcony outside because to commune with nature. And I did it in the way that very similar to how I had you just connect with your guardian angels, where I would start off with, because I had the 30 years was a disadvantage. How do you distill that in, 250 pages? So I started off and I would just unhook my consciousness and allow them to speak. And then some of that is direct messages, which you'll see that in italics in the book, so you can get the energy more purely. And then the rest of it, I edited into content, because archangels often speak more formally than we're used to.
Right.
So, yes. So I took out the you'll forgive this term, but I took out the sexiest part of my classes, right? And this is actually, I went to a big editor who said, because I started with this compendium. Nobody's going to read all that. And she said that the thing that people want is they want their angelic name, right? And so that was really where it started, was there is a process to find, you work up to it. It's the 7th, so it's the 6th chapter of the book. You work up to really getting a basis to getting your name. And I used to do it in classes, and then I recorded a meditation to see if people could get their name with a meditation. And I sent it out to tons of people, and they were getting it.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my goodness, they're getting it. And it was changing them. And so then I put that. So that's the processes in the book. You get the foundation of how do you accurately remember your name, which comes from the angelic language. So you too will be hearing the angelic language, a few syllables of it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just don't drive while you're doing it.
Please.
All right.
There actually is a story where I was driving doing it, but that was, you'll see. I tell you how to do that. And then actually the title is going to be your angelic ancestry, discover your archangelic name, because it is your archangelic.
Oh, okay.
Heritage. So your angelic heritage is what we've been talking about. And your higher purpose is connoted or reflected by your name. And then I lead you on a whole process to really connect. A lot of people have a sense of their higher purpose. So this is a very specific, not just your purpose this lifetime, but all of it.
Ooh,
Mm.
I love that.
You have won me over. I'm definitely buying the book because I need to know my name. I already know what Karen Niel's name is, so we won't have to worry about it. But I definitely know it is not Will I.L. So cool. Now the book comes out in the spring of 25, right? So we got a little bit of a wait to go. So
You have a little bit of a wait to go. Yes. It actually comes out July 2025.
oh, in July, even worse than spring. Oh my God. Why are we even talking about this now? For crying out loud, you got to come back right before it.
But words to come back. You guys are the best.
Oh, thank you.
I'm adopting you back.
Well, promises. You know, we've heard that before, but no one ever pulls
We
us
can hang out on the balcony.
You know, it's actually, for those that are only listening to this audio, you should check out the video because you'll see the mountains behind her. They're just gorgeous. I can just see them. I could probably channel an angelic message in that location for crying out loud. But now, if someone absolutely wanted to make sure they did not miss out on your book, do you have an advanced sale option, or is there a list you can get onto?
Absolutely. So it's Alisha Doss, just my name, aliciadoss.com/book. Very simple. If they don't remember that, they just go to aliciadoss.com and just scroll down, and then you see where you get on the list for the book launch. And so what I'm doing is I'm releasing excerpts from the book now to kind of to keep people engaged until the book comes out. And I'm also will be having all kinds of fun pre-releases and bonuses and a summit I have a podcast as well with thought leaders on it. And so they'll get all kinds of notice about some opportunities with that. So they can join now. And then also, if they want, they can join my email list. And for example, the email I'm sending out tomorrow will be who built the pyramids.
Ooh.
Okay. Wait, hang on. I'm going to get on my computer right now. No, but speaking of your podcast, we definitely want to mention that because you've had some notable guests on, like Marianne Williamson on your show and that kind of stuff. So it is not a little show for any purpose. I mean, if you love this show, you're going to love her. So definitely look it up. So we're going to add a direct link to your website on our show notes. So if you didn't have a pen in that particular moment, you know how to get there. Go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode page. You'll see the link directly laid in our show notes. We'll also lay in the link to the name of your podcast so people can find it as well if they are interested in following along. Of course.
It's called Live Your Love. And I want to promote this. So if you send me the information, I would promote this for you.
Well, we will certainly appreciate that. Absolutely. Alisha, this has been literally the time. I'm looking at the clock and I'm cringing because it's gone so fast.
So fast.
Truly, sometimes you have a conversation and you know that it's just meant to be a much longer one. So please, we hope that you will consider coming back right before your book comes out so we can remind people, because it'd be great to have you on. We have a lot more to discuss about angels, I'm sure.
Absolutely, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. It's been such a delight to be with you and to be with your listeners and viewers. And I just send so much angelic love to each of you and to all of your hearts and to our planet at this beautiful, pivotal time.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Before you go, the last thing, is there any kind of message that you feel is coming through that you really feel our audience or us or someone, the world at large, it really needs to hear?
Well, let's give it to the angels, including Karen Niel.
Yes. That's totally your name from that one. Right?
Okay, so let's sense. Oh, sweet souls, this is an intense time. But know that everything has already occurred. Time is but a construct to help you organize your karma. Truly, all is occurring as it should. Believe it or not, there is a destiny to this planet as there is a destiny to each heart and soul upon it, from the tiniest hummingbird to even the microbe to the most giant mountain and to the beautiful godlings called humans that walk this earth. Know that we angels recognize your travails, we witness your heartache, and we stand by, ready to guide you aloft into the truth that you were born the beloved of God. We are always with you. We learn from serving you, and you serve us by allowing us to serve you. So call upon us, and we will always answer with love. Amen.
I always forget that. All we have to do is call. And I always forget. I always forget. And we hear it all the time. Dang it. I need you, angels, I need you to remind me to call on you. Do you think that'll
A little
work?
stringer on your finger.
Right? We're crying out loud. All right. This was amazing. Thank you for that beautiful message. It is so needed in this time. So we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We look forward to staying in touch and having you back very soon.
I would love it. So much love to you both and to everybody listening. Until we meet again.
And a huge thank you to you. If you like the show and the guests that we bring on, then you're definitely want to be a part of our inner circle. See, the inner circle is absolutely free to join, and it gives you an opportunity to not only interact with Karen and I, but you'll also be able to engage with fellow listeners like yourself. You'll also find tons of discounts for services from some of our past guests so that you can check them out for yourself to see which path makes the most sense for you. We're also going to be doing a lot of great giveaways like free sessions from some of our guests. You can gain access to behind the scenes videos, even get the chance to be on the show with us. All the while, you'll be helping the show grow by letting people know about us. Did we mention it's 100% free? Check out our show notes for the link to our inner circle and join today, and then drop in and say hello and tell us what episode you heard this on. We might just give you a shout out on the show. Well, that's all for now, but we'll see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. Until then, take care.